Hello, welcome to Gdot and Friends. My name is Elden Killian. Today I'll be your host. Today we are continuing my year in review. This is the second video of a 6-video series in which I rank every game that I played in the year 2020. Today's episode is entitled, Can I Find Some Toilet Paper? Just to be clear, I'm not talking about these games should be toilet paper or be used as toilet paper, because they are not as bad as that. I was just trying to make a reference to the toilet paper debacle of earlier in 2020, in which everyone forgot that they need to buy toilet paper monthly, and then they bought it all, and then nobody else could find it. And some people were being jerks about it. Yeah. So this is the second tier of games. So I did the bottom tier earlier, and then this is the second tier of games that I'm going to be talking about. If you missed that one, tail of the tape. 148 games are on the entire series list. We'll talk about, I think it's 15 of those today. Of those 148 games, 76 of them were new to me games. Only about a dozen or fewer were actual 2020 releases, according to BGG, Board Game Geek stats. And so I played a lot of new. About half the games I played were new to me this year, and we'll talk about those. And there's a few of them on the list today. Let's just go ahead and get started with this. All right. So number 134 of 148 is Ultimate Werewolf Ultimate Edition. This was the very last game I played in 2020. I played it a few times. I'd played it before. In October, when I started out making these videos, I started the project ranking every game I played of all time. And I can't remember exactly where it was at, but this game, and I've played it a few times since I made that list, and it is plummeting. In fact, the more I think about that last play, this might have been deserving to be in the last one. I wasn't a huge fan of Werewolf to begin with, but it was just a terrible play. We played it like 4 times, and it just progressively got worse and worse, and people were screaming and at each other, and just it was chaotic, and people visibly weren't having fun. I know a lot of people love Werewolf, and maybe I just need to become a better moderator. I was moderating all the games, but I don't know. It's souring in my mouth as I talk about it right now. Number 134, Ultimate Werewolf Ultimate Edition. BGG ranks as top 1,000. It has a 7 average from the users. Not for me. Number 133. This is sort of a cheater game. This was a prototype that my daughter was really interested in. Persona 5 is a video game that she enjoys and is a part of. And she found this print and play prototype on the internet. And we actually tried playing this on Tabletop Simulator or Tabletopia, one of the two. And it was a little frustrating, and it kind of soured me on those Tabletop Simulator things. Are just too finicky for me. But then she actually made a physical copy of it. The artwork is really cool looking, but it's bad graphic design. And like I said, this is actually a prototype, and I think it's still a work in progress. The person is doing it, and so the version I played might not even be the version that if you went and found this online, or if it ever got published, it might end up being a different game. It had some interesting game decisions. I just felt like it wasn't quite there yet. It was still kind of a broken game. I did have fun with my daughter playing it. Persona 5, the print and play board game, 133 of 148 for the year 2020. 132. Let me see here. 132. Llama. This is a game I play quite a bit of with my stepdaughter. She enjoys it quite a bit, and some other stepkids and my own children. And this was a Spiel des Jahres nominated game from last year. Rainer Knizia. It's got pedigree. It's just a really big. It's Uno, is what it really comes down to. there's a little cleverness in the points, but I've played it a lot of times, and more it just seems like it comes down to luck. But it is kind of fun. Like I said, I'm still having fun with it. Uno, was in the last video. I hate Uno. I played it so many times in my life, and I'm way past it. Llama, not quite there yet, but it's not Reiner Knizia's strongest game design by a mile. But yeah, number 132, Llama. 131, A Christmas Story, a major card game. I picked this game up because I love A Christmas Story. Over the holiday seasons that we just had some family members to play with, and I brought this out. We played it. It's a pretty short game. We played it like 5 or 6 times in a row. A few people dropped in and out. Played with a couple different player counts, and I don't know. It has a cool leg lamp figurine. It's real lucky. The goal of the game is you're trying to find 2 things: the decoder pin and the BB gun. You're supposed to know where they're at on the table. You can't win if you have one of the bullies in front of you, and so you're trying to move those bullies away from you and know where everything is. I played like 3 games in a row where I never saw any of the gold cards that we wanted to see. I saw the game end once where someone made a guess, but they had the bully in front of them, so they lost. That was kind of funny. I don't know. I wanted to like it more, and I didn't. I was really hoping that I knew it was gonna be a light game. I was hoping to be kind of like Love Letter, where there's a little bit of intrigue, a little double guessing. I don't know. It just wasn't there. I might play this again in the right situation, but a little disappointed in it. A Christmas Story, a major card game. Number 130, Wizard. I used to play the Wizard all the time. This was a big family game that we played all the time growing up. We actually played a similar game, but basically Wizard. And we started playing Wizard, I don't know, 15 years ago. And played it a lot. I haven't played it for a few years, but it came out at a family gathering, and it was not as fun as, it's a trick-taking game. I think maybe the strategy of this particular type of trick-taking game I'm kind of weary on, and it goes on for a long time without, if you leave, it messes up the flow of the game for other people. Not that I'm a big proponent of leaving games in the middle of them. I'll sit through a game I hate in order to finish it with everybody. But yeah, I don't know. A little down on Wizard right now. I don't know. But if you like trick-taking games, this is probably right up your alley if you haven't played it. If you enjoy trick-taking games at all. Rise of Augustus. The Gamer Bingo, they call it. Number 129 on my list. I find it really frustrating. There's a lot of luck in it, but there's definitely some skill because I always do terrible. I'm never in the running for anything. Other people, part of the game, I think where the major decisions are is picking which cards you're going to be targeting and coming up with a coherent plan there. And I've just never figured that out early enough. I don't play it frequently enough to remember these things I've learned. I forget them before I play it again. But it is just bingo. You're pulling things out, and then you're covering those things up on your card. Hopefully, you get there and you can score points. I think one interesting thing about the game, if you look at it, the artwork really suggests that there are some expansions that were designed or at least thought through. And I don't think those have come to fruition. And maybe that would add to the game and make it a little more fun, in my estimation. But yeah, I don't know. Number 129, Rise of Augustus. 128, The Table is Lava. This is a stupid, silly game. Stupid. It's a stupid game. You have a deck of cards, or it's 12 cards or something like that. but you're taking turns throwing these cards out onto the table and then putting your meeples on them. The goal is to try to knock over other people's meeples or knock them off of the card. And if they're ever entirely on the table's lava and they go away, and you don't score points for those guys. You're just throwing these cards. And you ever try to throw cards? Are you good at it? I'm not. But yeah, I don't know. It's silly fun. And it definitely works as a game as opposed to like some other games I've talked about. But it's just silly. I don't know. The table is lava. 121 tracks. 121? No, 127. Tracks. Tracks, I believe it's in the Quicks family of games. But in this one you have a board, and these cards flip up, and you can go through all of the colors that are on the card, and those colors correspond to hexes on your grid, and you're trying to make one contiguous line go through your board and go through all the numbers so you can score those number points. I played this game years and years ago, and ever since I played it, I'd thought about it, and I had really fond memories of it. And so this year, almost a year ago, pulled it out at a friend's house who owned it or owns it, and it didn't live up. It seemed too basic. Maybe just as a gamer, maybe I progressed and I've seen enough things. The strategy was more evident to me, and it didn't seem as clever. But I still have those first plays, which I enjoyed quite a bit. And not that I didn't enjoy these last plays. It just didn't hold up to me over time, I guess. Anyway, this is Tracks, number 127. 126, Shifty-Eyed Spies. This is one of my thrift store finds. And this is a game where you are, what you're doing is you're getting cards, and and it's like another player at the table and a location. So there's little locations on the table, and what you're trying to do is signal to the other player where you are. So the target player, where you are on the table, and you're also looking for other people who have you as a target, and they're trying to show you where they are, and then on your turn you can say, oh, so-and-so is at this location. If you're correct, you get some points, and you're just trying to get enough points. But you're all doing this all just by kind of looking around and trying not to get caught, because people can intercept your mission, and it's interesting and strange and weird, and it's almost a good game for me. Yeah, I don't know. It's creeping up on that line, but there's something about it that, I don't know. Maybe if you just had the perfect group of people where everyone was on the ball and everybody, I don't know. Shifty-Eyed Spies, number 126. It's an interesting game. If you find it at the thrift store for $3, pick it up, try it. If it fits that purpose, I think, and maybe you'll like it more than I do. 125, Blocus the Dice Game. I picked this up at Fred Meyer. I was the grocery store, and that little game section there, and I saw this, and I saw it, and I picked it up, and I was looking at it, and it struck some familiarity with a game that I've been kind of designing, and so I wanted to try it, so I picked it up. It's an okay game. You're using the different, so you roll the dice, and then you're kind of drafting the dice and drawing those on your board, and it follows the one rule of Blocus, which is you can only touch your own, each color can only touch itself by the corners of shapes. You can't have any side-by-sides, and you're just trying to fit as many of these shapes on your board as possible without blocking out, once you can't legally place a shape anymore, you're done. And so you're just trying to fill up as much as your board as possible and being clever with the way that you do that. It's okay. I kind of kind of house ruled it, which I try not to do very often. But it's a drafting game, and so you roll like 4 dice, and then the last player gets their last dice, and it might be terrible. So I change it to where I play other games like this where you roll the dice, one person picks one, and then everybody else can pick from the leftovers. So there's still a limit. You're still limiting what other people can do, but it doesn't come down to just crap at the end for somebody every round. Anyway, that was Blocus the Dice Game, number 125. 124, Break the Code. This, I saw this one. These deduction type games, it's a deduction game where there's different numbers on the board, and then it has these preset questions that you can ask people, and what you're trying to do is deduce what other people have and narrow down what the mystery numbers are. By player count, the game actually changes a little differently. I think it's like in a 2-player game, it's like a cooperative game. You're trying to figure out together like what the middle ones are. In a 4-player game, I can't remember exactly now, but in one of the player counts, it's competitive. You're like trying to figure out what other people have. Or everybody's trying to figure out what's in the middle, the fastest. In a 3-player, it's like I can't remember. But I did play all the different player counts. I thought it was interesting. But like every time I played it, and I didn't play it a ton, but every time I played it, I was like, okay, I kind of know where this is going. What is nice about the game is it comes with these pre-printed questions, and so you don't have to think about what the questions are, and you're limited into what questions you can ask by what's out there. And so I think that does make the game move along nicely. But how often am I going to play this? Not a bunch. I do see like if you're a math teacher in the right age range, this might be a good like logic, deduction, and numbers, because it kind of forces you to think in an algebraic mode. So there's some benefit there. Anyway, interesting little game. Not the best, not the worst. But yeah, Break the Code, number 124. 123, Say Anything, from North Star Games. This is the game. This is sort of like the Wits and Wagers / Apples to Apples type game, where you can say anything. And so the kind of cool thing about this one is, so there's the thing, you're trying to say something that the other person's going to like, but even if you don't come up with something good, you can kind of bet on other people's answers and score points that way. It's a good party game. It works well for that. It doesn't support a huge player count unless you played in teams, but it supports a decent player count. It's like a good game if you have a couple other couples over, or maybe some older teenagers kind of host some sort of game event with those guys. Anyway, Say Anything, number 123 for this year. 122, Illusion. I want to like Illusion more than I do. The game is so interesting to me. You have this deck of cards, and they all have these crazy designs on them with is it 4 colors, I think? And you're trying to put them in order by whatever the goal color is that round. And it just, as a game, it has an issue where, like in the rhythm of the game, every time I play it, it always comes up. The rhythm of the game, some people are at an advantage for being able to call out that it's wrong, and other people they don't get that chance as often because they have much fewer turns when there are enough cards out there where it's conceivable that someone made a mistake. It's just not that hard to get 2 cards correct. It's not that hard to get 3 cards correct. Once you get into 4, 5, or 6, then it becomes likely that you're probably making a mistake. And so in the turn order, it just felt like every time there's always that rhythm issue in the game. Maybe there's a solution to that. I don't know. But it's a cool little thought process puzzle thing. And so, anyway, number 122, Illusion. 121, another new to me game. I picked this up on a whim at Barnes & Noble. Just saw it there. It looked kind of interesting. In this game, you're trying to you're shedding all of your cards. And you can do that by playing 1, 2, or 3 cards on your turn, but you have to climb higher than the last one. So it's sort of a trick-taking, ladder climbing / shedding game. And so you want to play the more cards possible, but the trick to the game is you can only play cards that are next to each other. And you have to play something higher than what's been played. you have these little reserve cards in front of you that if you ever can't play or don't want to play, you can pick up and you can put anywhere in your hand, but you can't, once you put it in there, you can't reorganize where the cards are in your hand. And I don't know. This one's growing on me. I can see this one going up in the future if I get this played a little bit more. It is clever. It's a clever little hand management, trick-taking, shedding, climbing game. Yeah, dealt. The one maybe unsatisfying thing about it, it's one of those games where like one person loses, everybody else wins. Which, it keeps the game moving. People aren't out of the game and have to sit around and wait for the other people to finish. But I do feel like the game doesn't take that long. Even if you got eliminated, stick around for 5 minutes, it's going to be over before too long. But yeah, I don't know. Dealt. Number 121 for the year 2020. 126 Nipped. I've played this game over the year for the last eight years or so. I've played this game a lot, and got a few plays in this year. It just works well in certain circumstances. I feel like for a game I play so often and like choose to play, maybe this should be higher on my list. But as I was just slotting them, this is kind of where it fell in. But yeah, in this game, there's 4 cards in the middle. You are trying to build off those cards in numerical order, and people are not blindly, they're choosing their card, but you do it simultaneous action or simultaneously selecting cards, and then you're going to put them in ascending order from low to high, and then they kind of slot in where they go. And if you're over the 6th card in a row, you take all the other cards. You don't want points. Yeah, I don't know. It works in a lot of situations. The one downside is it's kind of confusing for like the first round or two. For people, usually, in fact, I think I've decided it's easier just to teach the game. Give everybody 10 cards, have them all pick one randomly. Show them how a round's gonna work. Maybe do it a second time, and then maybe reshuffle all the cards and like, okay, now we're gonna play for reals. I know some people think it's just a super lucky game, and there's a little bit of luck. But I've played it enough times with some smart people who tend to do well in the game that I think there's more than just luck to this game. There really is. And anyway, 6 Nipped. Also goes by a couple other names like Slide 5 and same basic game. But yeah, 6 Nipped. Number 120 out of number 148 for the year 2020. And this kind of concludes this episode. Look out for the future. I have a few more coming where I talk about the games I played in 2020 that were the best. I'm going to rank them all in order. But yeah, I'll see you in the future sometime. I don't know. I need to come up with a tagline.
Where? I'm making a YouTube video, Bev.